Why are we building the temple of Isis in Zimbabwe, South Africa, then Nigeria? My religion is Kamitics. Ubuntu Maat consciousness is my spirituality. We are going to explore some strategic issues here. The title is The Temple of Isis. Millions of melanin dominant humans, the Bantus, all over the world, who are skeptics, usually spice their doubts, arguing that African ancestors have no power. They blindly ignore the obvious facts of theft and reverse open rituals that are used against us today. Think of it this way: the Euro-Arabs in Egypt continue to dig up our ancestors and display them in glass caskets. That's what the public sees, but there is more to it, because they continue to abuse our ancestral realities and continue to condemn us by practicing systems that they know spiritually reverses the power that we should have and gives them that power. They are continuing with their medieval witchcraft practice of eating our ancestors. If you think this is not correct, you have to know of Mami Vera Aegyptica, a powder that was made from ground mummies, which was considered exotic and a cure-all. A reference to Mumia can be found in medieval and medical literature from the 16th century to the 20th century. The website is shown here. These were recently discovered of 2,500 years ago, dating back to the late period of ancient Hamid, and the coffins were sealed, and they opened them and took out the mummies. What they will tell the world is that it's for scientific study and archaeological study. What are you still studying as scientific or archaeological when we know who were the ancient Egyptians, that they were Africans and blacks, unless there is more to it than before? But we shoot ourselves continuously, since our leaders are programmed by invaders to ignore our ancient civilization. When they ignore our ancient civilization, this is a temple of Isis. Most Bantus consider this as pagan and evil and a no-go area, whilst Europeans adopt all these temples and our artifacts. Afro-doubters will deny any proof that our ancient race established the last great nature-sustaining human civilization on earth. The Temple of Isis stands as one of many such lofty, shocking proofs they conveniently deny. Yet it stands as a beacon and clears any foggy ignorance planted by colonists. On one hand, we have got African governments and African leadership all over the earth that has a tendency to promote Euro and white Arab religions and artifacts, oblivious to the obvious fact that Europeans themselves and other countries continue to use ancient black artifacts, arts and sciences as their core set of ideas. Most European countries hold thousands of artifacts, Bantu skulls, other items and works from Africa's last civilization, while African countries and African religious movements continue to build statues of Jesus, European Jesus, and white Arab mosques. Like here in Nigeria, where 70% of people live in poverty, but they had the money to unveil the largest statue of Jesus in Africa. When they do this, European countries continue to build pyramid-like structures and pillars in their cities to capture and retain that energy. You can see this video. Go and watch this video, where you will find that the best mosques are built in Africa. By the way, Middle East is Africa, not anything else. Think on this clearly. Not even one African country restores or builds anything from the last and greatest nature-sustaining civilization of Nubia or Hamid, but they think that European structures and buildings are the best, when Europe builds structures that mimic African outlines and African shapes. We will rebuild the Temple of Isis beginning in Zimbabwe, South Africa, Nigeria, and then we go worldwide. Who is Isis? This is a Greek term for a female Bantu Dlozi, Isisu, or Bantu spirit, or Bantu ancestor, maternal ancestor, who was born just after the creation of the world. She was worshipped and adopted worldwide, but today her power has gone by other names, yet completely ignored by Africans, her own race. The temples of Isis, like this one, which was built by one of the last native kings and rulers of ancient Kemet. The Greek name is Nectanebo the first. Why is his nose damaged, and why is his forehead cobra destroyed? This is actually an act of curse and power absorption and disempowering of his spirit. And this is the temple, the structures of the temple, the last one closed and burned by the Roman rulers in 394 AD when Christianity took over the whole earth. The skeptics reasons that if our ancestors had power, we should never have been colonized or enslaved and pushed to the bottom of the rung in terms of perhaps economic or technological advancement, can be answered by another question. What have they, these skeptics, done to prove that they are better than our ancestors? Most of these skeptics are either Christians, Hebrew Israelites, or Muslims, black Hebrews, black Christians, black Hebrew Israelites. And then they turn around and start to accuse our ancestors of having no power. Yet they worship the ancestors of these religions that did not come from Africa but were brought by the colonizer and enslaver. So how do you expect your ancestors to have power when you do not use them? It's just like having a car parked in your garage and accuse it of not starting or taking you somewhere. Accuse your ancestry of not doing anything. You have to jump in it, start it, drive it. Thousands have left colonial mentality, philosophies and religions, and some are already contributing to the building of the temples of Isis, the first one being in Zimbabwe, then South Africa, and followed by Nigeria. This spiritual body is waking up now. Why are we doing this? Because our governments are asleep, our people are asleep. Many of them promote Euro-Arab religions, whereas these Europeans and other countries, as has already been stated, continue using ancient black artifacts, arts, and ideas. Why the temple of Isis first? The goddess Isisu was known for her suffering. She had dealt with family betrayals, the death of her husband, and single parenthood. Yet she triumphed over all adversity and lived a good long life in spite of all her losses. Isisu, her religion, promised women the hope of a better and happier life in the current status and in the world to come, and that they have the ability to make their choices and support and lead their lives. The story of the murder of Osiris, her husband, and burial in a coffin is the true source of the prophecies of and about the Bantus, our current situation, as well as explained not in the Torah or Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, but is the source of those sections of the Torah. The temple of Isisu was and will also be dedicated to Osiris, the father, and Horus, the son of Isis. It had the double hall shared with Isisu's sister Nephthys, dealing with the afterlife, the judgment. These are huge metaphysical realities that each and every human being living today will have to face on their day of death. Europe is infatuated with African goddesses and African mummies and African artifacts. The proof is that we were sold a dummy in which we exchanged our divinities for destructive ones like the Euro Jesus, the white Arab Muhammad, and the Mother Mary of popular Catholic catechism. The elites who crafted these false belief systems are hiding the last African civilization from the masses by a thin flange. The temples of Isisu and the re-imaging of many African iconographs, statues, and doctrines in Europe must be telling us the truth that there is something powerful inside our systems. The system is sustained by our emotional detachment from our own history and the failure to recognize our true history and practice the teachings from our true history. while we mire in poverty due to our refusal to inherit and use our inherent power quickly. Here is the US dollar. You can see that there is Horesu there, whom they took and put on the US dollar and emblazoned it with certain phraseologies, proving that there is power in this ancient representation. You may argue the way you want to argue, as a Hebrew Israelite, as a Jew, as a Christian, as a Muslim, but if you hold the US dollar, you exactly find this modification. This is the reason why we are explaining this. Instead of the anchor of life, they put in their 13 arrows for battle and war to reverse it. It's quite clear, very, very open for those with an open mind. However, let us be comforted by the steady and increasing numbers of those who now know and practice their identity, which is connected to true history, like the leaves and the fruits of a living tree. To connect to our soul, we need to connect deeply with our bones, as a tree connects with its roots and reaches deep into the earth. So human beings have a responsibility to connect with their bones, and our bones are a living embodiment of our ancestry and ancestors. You did not create yourself, and you did not evolve from monkeys, baboons, or single-celled amoeba, or any single-celled. This is the city of Paris. Do you know that the name Paris is Bar Isis? There is the pillars from ancient Kemet, and there is Isis there. And if you think this is just nonsense, I don't need the temple of Isis, I don't care about it. Europe, France, Britain, Belgium, Italy, everywhere the temples of Isis exist. While it's in Africa, they tell you to build mosques and finance the building of churches, useless buildings that have no geographical forces, that are just built willy-nilly, sometimes on top of graves without the knowledge of what is really happening. Europe's infatuation with this African goddess continues, and Africans cast her away. Here is our Isisu in Paris, and how they have transformed her from an African woman, and Horesu, an African young lad, a European one. This is quite clear. You go to France, you will find these images there. Again, in Greece, Isisu was originally linked to Demeter, the goddess of agriculture. In and around Lebanon, she was associated with the Middle Eastern goddess Astarte, where you get your term for Easter. In Roman cities, she was linked with Fortuna, where you get the goddess of luck or fortune or good fortune, which is connected to all the gambling and all the poker machines that you have on the earth. And Venus, the goddess of love. The 1st and 2nd century AD writer Plutarch likened her to Persephone, consort of Hades, the lord of the underworld, yet in her motherland, no one remembers Isisu. They all remember Mother Mary and Hail Mary, Mother of God. There is another movement, current movement, which is there today. Grand Temple of Isis, Mighty Mother, a fellowship of the Golden Dawn. Universal Temple, serving Golden Dawn members in California, southwest regions of the United States, and worldwide. They say we are headquartered in the Los Angeles County, Southern California, United States, and serves as a beacon of light for all seekers of Western esoteric mysteries. There is the Grand Temple of Isis. You can see it's all African. There are two ways, and yet African governments, Africans, and many other Bantus think this is paganism, think this is useless. But you can see how these people have power all over the earth. By the way, the Chinese also have these temples, have these artifacts. You just read the Payaketches principle to get the idea of what's going on. The myth of Isisu represents our feminine attributes: intuition, psychic abilities, love, compassion, energies, Mother Nature, the High Priestess, the metaphoric goddess in all creation myths. She is the essence of the feminine energy, which is part of us all. Capture that. This is very, very powerful. We have given the link there, the website where you can go and read more about this. This myth has been told in various ways, but the message is always the same. Death, and resurrection, a metaphor for the journey of the soul in the games of physical reality. This is the teaching and the essence and the reason why you should participate in the rebuilding of the temple of Isis. Isis is the feminine archetype for creation. She is the goddess of fertility and motherhood. She has gone by many names and played many roles in history and mythology as goddess and female creator. There it is. Our ancestors revealed all this, yet our people do not care about it. This is great news. Why are we building the temple of Isis? Because we are waking up, and our governments are interested in perpetuating the Jesus myths and Arab Islamic blindness while ignoring our real history. It is to invoke the Netas by reclaiming our heritage. It is the time for great spiritual effort. She will inspire those who hear her voice. It will be done. Here is the email to get in touch. When you have to deal with this issue and want to contribute to this issue, please insert the code ISISU1 and join at maarifado.com. Yes, the temples of Isisu and the project to rebuild them in Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Nigeria, and then going worldwide, is a spirit machine, which is a gigantic awakening moment. For more information, send us an email and insert the code ISISU1 to join at maarifado.com. Subscribe to our channel, Hamiti Iburu Ethics, Spiritual Rabbi LM Dumizulu, saying till we meet again, Edupe, Siabonga, Tatenda, thank you, Enkos.